Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Brendan McNamara.
And I'm Robert Fornatero. A tragedy has hit the Baltimore area. Hear about the latest updates from the bridge collapse and what's next for the city as a whole.
Also coming up, 2 major construction projects are coming to the Pittsburgh area. Find out what they are and how they may affect your commute in the upcoming weeks and months.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
The Polish government is demanding an explanation from Moscow after a Russian missile briefly entered Poland's airspace during a massive attack against Ukraine on Sunday morning. The Polish Armed Forces Operational Command said it was in a heightened state of readiness due to the missile attacks in Ukraine, and that Polish and NATO aircraft were activated in the southeastern part of the country. The command later stated that Russia had violated its sovereign airspace with a cruise missile that, quote, entered Polish space near the town of Osordo and stayed there for 39 seconds. During the entire flight, it was observed by military radar systems, end quote. Poland's foreign ministry said it would demand an explanation from Moscow over the missile. This comes after Ukrainian officials said that Russia launched its third pre-dawn attack on Ukraine in the last 4 days, with 2 of them targeting the capital, Kyiv. Moscow has escalated its strikes, firing dozens of missiles and launching dozens more drones to attack Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Recently, Russian forces have taken control of several settlements along the front line.
The Crocus City Hall was attacked this past Friday, marking one of Russia's deadliest terrorist incidents in recent years. The attack had taken place at around 8 at night in Moscow, Russia, where a Russian band, Picnic, was about to go on stage in front of a sold-out crowd. That is when 4 armed men came into the building and started shooting. At least 142 lives were claimed by the disaster, with 182 individuals injured at a minimum, including some from the fire that broke out. Later, responsibility for this heinous act was claimed by a notorious group of the Islamic State based in Afghanistan, the Islamic State in the Khorasan province. A video published by an Islamic State-affiliated outlet, Amaq News Agency, showed the gunmen executing the attack, which included shootings and beheadings while shouting "Praise God" in Arabic. In its response to the attack, President Vladimir Putin condemned the act as a, quote, barbaric terrorist attack, end quote, and announced that the people behind the act had been arrested and charged with terrorism. At the same time, he declared a national day of mourning for those lost. However, this attack did not come without prior warnings. The U.S. Embassy in Moscow had issued alerts earlier in March, cautioning them about potential attacks on large gatherings based on intelligence reports of imminent threats from the Islamic State Khorasan province. As of now, Moscow's mayor has canceled all weekend events and heightened security measures have been put in place all across the city.
The United Nations Security Council finally passed a resolution addressing the war in Gaza after nearly 6 months. The resolution calls for an immediate ceasefire in the region, as well as an immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. A ceasefire has been proposed several times since the Israeli-Hamas war began, but it has been vetoed several times by the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. As one of the 5 countries of the Security Council with permanent veto power, this has halted any resolution up until now. While the U.S. did not vote in favor of the resolution, the choice to abstain from voting this time did allow the resolution to finally be passed. This was a shock to many, including Israel, as the U.S. has been a longtime ally and recently tried to suggest a resolution in which the ceasefire would be dependent on the release of hostages. Israeli Ambassador Gilad Ardan criticized the Security Council for passing a resolution that does not secure the release of the hostages. He wasn't the only one concerned with the resolution. Israeli Foreign Minister Katz took to X, formerly known as Twitter, in a post that read, quote, "The state of Israel will not ceasefire. We will destroy Hamas and continue to fight until the last of the hostages returns home," end quote. Israel also canceled an upcoming trip to Washington, D.C. after the passing of the resolution on Monday. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who has been urging the Security Council to take action for months, applauded the passing of this resolution, saying, quote, "The Security Council just approved a long-awaited resolution on Gaza demanding an immediate ceasefire and the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. This resolution must be implemented. Failure would be unforgivable," end quote. While many former and current ambassadors are scrutinizing the word choice of the resolution to determine how binding it truly is, this has been the first step that has been taken on this issue from the Security Council.
Up until last week, Princess Catherine of Wales hadn't been seen since Christmas and stated that she wouldn't be back in the public eye by Easter. In January, the palace released a statement saying she had undergone abdominal surgery and was recovering at home. Due to this, many speculations began to appear as to her current condition and to the reason for her disappearance. This past Friday, the royal couple released a video of Princess Catherine on their X, formerly Twitter account, and to the press regarding her ongoing absence from the public. In the video released, Catherine stated she is currently undergoing preventative chemotherapy and will be continuing her treatment at home. The princess thanks everyone for their concern, but for now is focused on recovering and spending time with her family. When we return, a tragic update in the missing Tennessee college student. Also, Instagram has revealed some new controversial policy updates. Find out what they are after the break.
Welcome back. The House Office of Diversity and Inclusion was shuttered late last week with the passage of a $1.2 trillion government spending package. The spending deal includes roughly 70% of fiscal year 2024's discretionary government spending and passed the House 286 to 134 on Friday. It passed the Senate 74 to 24 early Saturday morning. According to Fox News, many of the functions the office performed were redundant, as the Congressional Administrative Office already carried out the same tasks. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, a Republican from Minnesota, praised the dissolution of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, saying, quote, "House Republicans promised to claw back Democrats' wasteful spending, and this is just another example of how we're delivering. Americans should not be forced to foot the bill for the radical left's woke agenda in Washington," end quote. However, many Democrats were left unhappy with the decision, and they released a statement saying, quote, "Instead of doing anything to make life better for the American people, extreme MAGA Republicans have been targeting the Office of Diversity and Inclusion from the beginning of this Congress, pushing an agenda to defund and dissolve the office," end quote. Democrats say they are working to preserve the office staff and are studying ways to bolster the office's effort in a future Democratic majority.
The search for missing college student Riley Strain came to an unfortunate conclusion when his body was tragically discovered in the Cumberland River this past Friday. Strain, a 22-year-old University of Missouri student, had vanished 2 weeks prior, with the student's last known location being outside a Nashville bar from which he had been kicked out. Police Chief John Drake indicated that there appeared to be no foul play involved in Strain's death and suggested that a freak accident may have led to him falling into the river. The discovery of his body was made near the Tennessee neighborhood of West Nashville, a spot not far from where Strain was last seen. As the investigations continue, including an investigation by the Tennessee Alcoholic Beverage Commission into the circumstances leading up to Strain's disappearance, the focus shifts to understanding how such a tragic event occurred. Videos released by law enforcement show Strain navigating the downtown area while stumbling from the bar he left. The video shows Strain engaging in a conversation with an officer before his disappearance. Not long after, his bank card was discovered in the vicinity of Gay Street and the riverbank on March 17th. Shortly following this tragic discovery, Nashville's Mayor Freddie O'Connell extended his sympathy to Strain's family, saying, quote, "This is not the outcome that anyone hoped for, especially his parents and everyone who loved him," end quote, in a post to social media platform X. A major piece of highway infrastructure collapsed this past Tuesday in Baltimore, Maryland. Reporter Leslie Krebs has the details on what took place and what residents and officials are doing now moving forward.
At around 1:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, a cargo ship struck a critical base component of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing its devastating collapse and the city of Baltimore to be declared in a state of emergency. Crew aboard the ship reported to officials they had lost power, and that was the cause of the crash, allowing officials to stop traffic on the bridge moments before impact, with Maryland's Governor Wes Moore saying, quote, "The warning likely saved lives," end quote. Though at the moment, 6 construction workers who are working on the bridge are still unaccounted for. There's also a tractor trailer and several vehicles missing in the water. Currently, 50 divers split into 8 teams are working underwater searching for missing bodies and marking vehicles. Though the bridge passed inspection, engineers are looking into any possible faults in the structural integrity. The FBI is involved in the investigation, saying there is, quote, "no specific and credible information to suggest any ties to terrorism at this time," end quote. For now, it is remaining an accident, and all water and land traffic is being diverted through alternative routes.
As part of an initiative announced last month, Instagram has stopped showing, quote, "proactively political content" on accounts that users do not choose to follow, end quote. Last week, Instagram automatically set the political content limit on all accounts. The limit also affects users with thread accounts linked to their Instagram accounts. The app, owned by Meta Platforms, does not specifically state what it deems as political content. Still, users can turn off this feature by opening the Political Content tab under the Content Preferences in the Settings tab. The change has caused some backlash amid the upcoming pivotal elections this November. This past Friday, a Texas school bus carrying pre-K children and adults was struck by a concrete truck, causing a crash. Out of the 53 people on the bus, 1 child and adult driving behind the bus were killed. 4 other passengers are in critical condition, 6 in serious condition, and the rest only sustaining minor injuries. The investigation found the truck was driving in the opposite direction of the bus and the driver was not under the influence, but the investigation is still ongoing. When we come back, hear about the school's full-time faculty contract and what they're asking for in the contract's renewal. Plus, our school's own School of Communication students took a trip over to the Big Apple last week. Hear about what they learned and more when we come back.
A long-term road project is beginning on Pennsylvania Route 910, and drivers in northern Allegheny County can expect some delays in the coming weeks and months. The 7-mile stretch of roadway to be worked on runs between Mingo Road in Marshall Township to Hart Road in Richland Township. According to PennDOT, single-lane restrictions will be in place periodically throughout the project. Those restrictions will run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. The project includes milling, paving, and upgrading drainage and guardrails. According to KDKA TV News, the Northern Regional Police Department is advising drivers to look for alternate routes and to stay alert to the posted speed limit. Officers will also be present along the work zone to ensure a smooth flow of traffic. If the project goes according to the plan, it will wrap up late fall this year.
Pittsburgh Regional Transit has announced a comprehensive plan to upgrade the T-Line, also known as Pittsburgh's light rail system, which is set to take place from April 2024 to 2028. This project aims to improve the system's infrastructure and service quality. The plan includes the restoration of concrete rail foundations within the downtown tunnels, which are essential for the structural integrity of the system. Additionally, it involves the replacement of over 10,000 feet of track aimed at enhancing the reliability of their service station. Station infrastructure is also targeted for improvement, with several stations expected to have reconstruction or significant upgrades to improve their functionality and accessibility. The strategy behind combining these projects is to significantly shorten the overall timeline for completion. The projects are also set to be back-to-back to further minimize the disruption for riders. The light rail, which spans 26.2 miles and operates as a subway in downtown Pittsburgh, serves as an important form of transportation for those who live in the suburbs south of the city. Additionally, PRT stated that they will announce each project's full timeline as well as the detour and other service information as the dates approach.
Pirates fans now have more to be excited about than just opening day. The Stadium Authority just agreed to sell a plot of land next to PNC Park for the Pirates, just over $500,000, in a unanimous vote last week. Plans for a 30,000 square foot plaza where fans can congregate to watch games in the area are already underway, including a proposed 916 square foot LED screen. Aaron Waller, executive director of the Stadium Authority, said the sale was approved because, quote, it will enhance not just the experience for Pirates games, but all public events. It will be a key part of the continued transformation of the North Shore, end quote. While fans may have been rejoicing at the news, it was the Planning Committee and City Council that originally had their reservations. The proposed plan would have the LED screen visible from as far as Interstate 279. This brought up questions about whether the proposal was actually in line with the city's zoning code, which restricts video screens to be seen from roadways. Colin Colano of Colano Designs plans to place deciduous and evergreen trees to obstruct the view. While some commissioners are hesitant about what that would look like in the colder months with barren trees, the development team assured that the screen would only be used during the baseball season. This statement has some fans wondering if the plaza will potentially ever be used for the Steelers season. Other plans for the plaza include outdoor seating, concessions, and a beer garden with a connected apartment building and restaurant that would open up into the area. With the final stamps of approval from both the Planning Committee and the City Council, the final transaction is set to take place next week.
Many of our very own UView members just took a trip with the school to visit New York City, getting a first-hand look at what their future careers might entail. Reporter Colleen Winder has the scoop on what took place. Colleen?
The School of Communications just gave the opportunity for students to visit New York City. This was a great opportunity for students to get in contact with professionals and, most importantly, have a great time. The trip had many opportunities, one of them being a Point Park alumni dinner in which students can ask questions related to their field of interest. Not only that, but the school had held 3 major tours: a tour of MSG Networks for those interested in broadcast, RPM Agency, Cooley's and Case Agency for those interested in PR and marketing, and multiple gallery tours including the Whitney Biennial for those interested in photography.
I think this whole entire trip was about, like I said, connecting and talking to other people and stepping out of your comfort zone. So I think when it comes to my photography and just my business, it's just being able to like go out and like talk to people and conversate and like hold a conversation and like talk about art and talk about their art and connect and like just move forward from there. Like I feel like this is what that trip taught me.
It really shows you like where you could be in a couple of years. I think what I saw and what she told me, what we went over, is really going to help with knowing where you could be if you just keep applying this correct work. If you keep going behind the scenes and in front of a camera and you keep putting that same work in, you're going to be able to see the environment that you can be in and how to work in those environments. Because she really broke down like, oh, this is how we talk on camera, or this is what we do behind the camera, this is how we talk to each other.
Students also had the chance to tour New York on their own time and get acquainted with the Big Apple. From subway rides to visiting major areas like Soho, Manhattan, and Brooklyn, they indulged in many attractions such as Chinatown, Times Square, and Little Italy. Overall, the trip helps students gain experience not only on big city living, but on what they can expect within their careers. This is Colleen Winder reporting for NewsNight.
We're glad everyone had a great time on the trip. If you want to see more photos from the trip or stay up to date on future trips and events the school may be holding, be sure to follow at PPU School of Comm on Instagram.
The university's full-time faculty contract is set to expire at the end of June. Represented by the Newspaper Guild of Pittsburgh and the Communication Workers of America, full-time faculty have already started drafting their next collective bargaining agreement, which will also be valid for another 3 years. Marian Dixon, an associate professor in the Department of Literature, Culture, and Society, is the current chair of the CBA committee. She said that the committee hopes to have a proposal ready by May, and that the administration has also expressed interest in having negotiations as soon as possible. Dixon also said that in this CBA, the full-time faculty wants to continue to improve working conditions, like salary benefits, shared governance, and the process of becoming a tenured member. If the faculty and the university do not reach an agreement by June 30th, the current CBA will remain valid until a new agreement is reached. Another grueling discovery has been made in the Allegheny River this past week. Reporter Leslie Krebs has the details on this developing story. Leslie?
Pittsburgh River Rescue was dispatched at around 2:30 p.m. this past Sunday to the Rachel Carson Bridge here, after several reports of a man floating down the river were made. 2 rescue boats and 3 divers were dispatched to the location. They made a total of 4 dives before they were able to recover the body. Upon discovery, they found it was an adult male, and he was pronounced dead at the scene at 3:50 p.m. by the medics on site. The Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office still is yet to release the identity as well as cause of death of the man. Eyewitness and fisherman Forrest Jazbinski remarked how slick and dangerous the bank of the river can be, as well as saying, quote, "It's going to be hypothermia real fast. You come out of the winds blowing, it's not going to be a pretty situation without proper adequate clothing." For now, Pittsburgh Police has released no further information. Reporting for Point News, I'm Leslie Krebs.
Details for this story are still limited. Be sure to stay up to date with NewsNight for more information as it becomes available. After a quick break, hear about a unique holiday happening today concerning some very cute animals. Plus, get your weekly weather update for the city of Pittsburgh. We'll be right back. Back. March 27th is National Manatee Appreciation Day. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services have classified manatees as a threatened species, with some being petitioned to be classified as endangered. Today, it's important to remember why we should care about these lovable sea creatures. Organizations have taken to the celebration, as the U.S. Postal Service will be issuing Save Manatees postage stamps. Friends of Blue Spring Native State Park and the Save Manatee Club will also be giving you a chance to adopt them. If you want to get proactive, keeping the ocean clean is the best way you can do so. Volunteer with shoreline cleanups, abide by boating laws, and support conservation organizations to help these adorable creatures stay around for as long as possible. While we are officially in the spring season, it's still unclear whether we're closer to spring or still deep in the winter season. First-time weather reporter Sarah Eyecatch is here with us to give you the scoop on this week's upcoming weather. Savannah?
Thanks, Brendan. After the cold rain we went through yesterday and some scattered showers in the early morning today, tomorrow is going to give us a good glimpse of the spring season ahead. Temperatures will be relatively cool with a high of 55 degrees, though the wind will make it feel a few degrees cooler. There will also be a fair amount of sunshine throughout the day, peeking through those Pittsburgh clouds we are all very used to. As we head into the night, temperatures will fall into the mid-30s, though the wind will also ease quite a bit, leading us into the weather for the rest of the week. On Friday, the weather will look quite similar to Thursday, being partly cloudy and temperatures reaching a high of 55 degrees. The weekend ahead, though, isn't looking as bright. Spring showers will be rolling in Saturday, though temperatures will rise slightly. We'll get some scattered showers going into Sunday as well, with the rain finishing off on Monday and temperatures staying in the high 50s and mid-60s. On Tuesday, we'll get lots more sun with only a few spots of rain during the afternoon, before falling in temperature on Wednesday to 52 degrees and some more showers throughout the day. This has been your weekly weather report. I'm Savannah Eyecatch, sending it back to the desk.
Thank you, Savannah, and thank you for tuning into this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Robert Fornatero.
And I'm Brendan McNamara. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.